All right, so next up in the text, we've got our front rack kettlebell squat. Now, this is basically you've gotten to the point where we can't hang on to a weight actively in here anymore, or on the flip side of that, just getting a kettlebell like into that position and holding onto it is awkward. Sometimes it's actually easier with two. So the criteria for us to be able to move into a barbell squat, what I like to use is around 50% of body weight, regardless of gender. You can probably back it off maybe to 40 for a female if you wanted to, but around 50% seems to be a good mark. Now, Jace is kind of mid-80s, so we've gone with two 20-kilo kettlebells. So remember, we've progressed from 10 kilos being hard for Jace. Now the hardest part of this is probably actually going to be getting into position. So Jace is going to use momentum, get one up into a rack, the other into a rack, bring them together. I like to link fingers. Some people like to push their fists together. Whatever's most comfortable. You can see the weight's nicely loaded into the forearm and humerus here. Thoracic still up, same stance. Knees are going to drive out, hips are going to drive back. We're nice and tight, using the half Valsalva breathing. So breathing out as we come up, in as we go down. So we can do multiple reps without too much trouble. Driving those knees out hard in the hole. Watching those reference lines. So ankle to knee, knee to hip, hip up to torso. Now this is where it's going to be important to start looking at elbow to shoulder. As Jace gets tired, they want to collapse. And obviously hand as well. You can relax there, mate. Good. In. This is the first time we've kind of seen Jace work hard today, which makes sense because we've just bumped him straight to 40 kilos. Now, the flip side of that though is Jace can obviously back squat a whole lot more than 40 kilos. What's like a 6 for you? Roughly?
130, 140.
Cool, so 130 kilo squat versus 40, so we're looking at like 35%-ish. But again, we've created an exercise that's subjectively difficult while being objectively quite easy in terms of the load that's involved. So Jace has worked really hard to get through that. He's hit what we call to be criteria to be able to get under a barbell. So now we've basically reached a point where we can assume that with some skill acquisition, some practice and some training, Jason's pretty much his potential strength right now is at a novice squat level. So he's going to be able to squat body weight if he can front squat 50% of it, provided we can teach him the skill, which can take different amounts of time for different people.